Good afternoon to the citizens of Memphis and everyone that's in attendance. My name is Pastor Stephen Bradley. I'm the pastor and founder of the House of Grace, located at 923 West Shelby Drive here in Memphis, Tennessee. I'm no stranger to the citizens of Memphis, Tennessee. I've been standing up for justice on the behalf of all of us. And as my brother just said, that they just joined in with the federal task force to make matters worse here in Memphis, Tennessee. Let me shine a few highlights of what's been going on behind closed doors without us knowing. The interim U.S. Attorney General Matthew Whitaker says, and I quote, "Here in Memphis, gun crimes went down 17% for the first 9 months of 2018. Murders went down 17%. Robberies down 12%. Rapes went down 18%. Domestic violence went down 11%. And I end that quote. So with those areas trending down in double digits, why would the government officials of Memphis, Tennessee allow the federal government to come in and create a militarization of our city? When Jim Strickland, the mayor of Memphis, Tennessee, said this year in April, when he requested an additional $10.1 million to increase the current budget to $685 million, and I quote him also, "We have seen some encouraging signs in the recent months, with both violent crime as a whole and murder rates showing a decline," and I end quote. So if our crime rates are declining with the current MPD, then why would we bring a federal task force that does not have any ties to our communities, with no understanding of the struggles of the citizens who are currently living in desolation? Also, the federal task force brings no sensitivity training to the officer, no mention of real community policing, no mention of closing the gap between officer and citizen. But the answer to the million-dollar question, why would government officials of Memphis team up with a federal task force? And the answer to that question is to circumvent a system by skirting past state limits on surveillance by claiming that some, if not most, of the cases are federal. More to this point, by joining joint law enforcement task forces run by the federal government, local cops can often ignore stringent state and local laws governing surveillance and engagement in warrantless spying. It is well known that a federal program known as equitable sharing allows local prosecutors and police to bypass more restrictive state assets forfeiture laws, bypassing cases off to federal government through a process known as adoption. A Department of Justice directive issued last summer by former Attorney General Jeff Sessions. Furthermore, by participating in federal joint law enforcement task force, local police claim cases are federal in nature to justify transferring them to the federal jurisdiction. Under these arrangements, state officials simply hand cases over to a federal agency, participate in the case, and then receive up to 80% of the proceeds. Participating in this federal joint law enforcement task force gives state and local police a similar means to circumvent restrictive state surveillance laws and conduct warrantless spying and with immunity. When state or local law enforcement officers join a federal joint task force, they are deputized as federal agents. As a result, they can operate under the exact same parameters as a FBI or DEA agent. What does that mean? That means they no longer are bound by state laws governing surveillance. In practice, this allows local cops to ignore state laws as they collect information on people in their communities, such as they did in Chicago, Illinois, when they came with stingrays. This allows normal cell phone towers to be spoofed, triggering any device within range or to connect it to a stingray instead of that tower. This allows the law enforcement to sweep up communication content as well as locate and track the person in possession of a specific cell phone or other electronic devices. My solution is this. State and local government need to take steps to regain control over their police department. Joint task force should not serve as a vehicle to circumvent state laws. State and local governments need to take steps to regain control over their police department. They should refuse to lend their officers to any joint task force that does not operate within the limits of state surveillance laws. They should also invest on having an oversight role when any or other officers are involved in joint investigation. More to the point and more specifically, here in Memphis, Tennessee, we see our local government officials have joined forces with these federal task forces. Here in Memphis, Tennessee, we have a poverty rate of 22.6%. Locked into that 26%, there are 44.7% are children. That is 80,000 children wake up day in and day out wondering, where will my meal come from? In that $10.1 million Jim Strickland asked for, he only going to allot $1 million of it going towards local communities. But the rest of it is going to lifting up more police officers, more money for police officers. How does that make sense when our communities are struggling, are living in desolitude day in and day out? He is creating a more hostile environment for black and brown people who are living below the poverty rate. Consistently, we have seen this government circumvent system to help the citizens of Memphis to obtain a more abundant life. But they refuse to do that. They allow the top 1% to gain control while the bottom 99% suffer. We are sick and tired of that. We will not stand by idle and allow this to happen again. We want answers. How can we give $1.1 million to a task force when we have no money for public transportation, no money for education? 28 schools are closing down now because of heat, because of HVAC systems are failing. But that's a misappropriation of funds. When Title I funds are not allotted to the right budgets, but we allotted them